Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's event. I'm Laura Dillon from MS Dynamics World, and we're here today for a session all about indirect partner versus direct partner, quantifying the Dynamics 365 Business Central startup costs. Our presenters today are Scott May with Velocio and David Warner with Microsoft, and we're delighted to have them here with us today. And please know that we do welcome your questions. You can enter those in at any time during the presentation in the Q&A box that you'll see over on the right side of your event window. And I know that Scott and David will be leaving plenty of time at the end to get to as many of those as they can. So also, as we get started, we have a couple of poll questions we'd like to get your feedback on. So I'm going to open those now. And if you wouldn't mind just taking a few seconds to give us your input on those two questions, we'll leave it open for a little bit, and then I'll hand things off to Scott. Scott, are you there? I'm going to give everybody another 10 seconds or so, and then we'll close them out, and you can get started if that works for you.
I am. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura. I appreciate everybody attending today. I'll go through the agenda real quick here. I'm going to cover really at a high level, what is the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central partner opportunity. And cloud, basically what, are the investment considerations, that you're going to need to look at when you're looking at potentially going with, a direct CSP partnership versus an indirect CSP partnership. What different things do you need to be considering and thinking about in that process? And then we'll go through and just cover, a faster, easier way that you can capitalize on the growing cloud opportunity that's out there. And then at the end today, we have a special guest, if you will. We're going to go through and have a partner perspective, do a Q&A with Greg Titus from Kanza Business Solutions. So he's going to talk about, his experience in going through this process and doing the analysis on his part and making his decision to go, as an indirect provider. And then we'll wrap up with Q&A at the end. So this is a lot of research that's out there basically goes to show that by the end of 2018, 80% of new implementations will be in the cloud. And we're already starting to go through and see that, of course, with all of the partners that we're working with. We're already starting to see that the majority of their opportunities are cloud-based opportunities with new opportunities with their existing client base moving into the cloud, with ISV solutions that are into the cloud. So this cloud opportunity is moving forward fast, and it's growing rapidly, and that there's a huge opportunity for partners to be able to jump into it and still go through and benefit significantly from it. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to David Warner with Microsoft. And he's going to really go through and discuss further the cloud revenue business opportunity, with Microsoft Cloud Solutions. So, David, take it away.
Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon, folks, wherever you might be this afternoon. My name is David Warner. I'm with Microsoft. I work on the One Commercial Partner team. My role essentially is to find partners both inside and outside the Microsoft channel ecosystem and bring them to the cloud. We've got a lot of on-premise partners, a lot of traditional partners, even office partners that we are looking to bring to the cloud so that they in turn can do digital transformation with their customers. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through a few data points. Today we are talking about CSP, which is Cloud Solution Provider. But first, I just want to give folks a perspective of why this should matter to you. So this is a very compelling slide. 86% of CEOs consider digital their #1 priority. So folks, we're talking in the billions with a B of people that are using social media. They're using smart connected devices. The expectation, of course, is this is going to continue and increase. So what does this mean? We have very smart, very savvy customers today. Now for the competition, this can be a pretty scary slide, but as part of Microsoft and part of our partner ecosystem, this is an opportunity that we are all ready to take advantage of. So we not only have the SaaS, ERP, and CRM products under our D365 solutions, but in many of the other aspects of digital transformation, we're already a leader. So as a partner, as a Dynamics partner, make sure you're leveraging Microsoft and all the solutions that are available. IoT, workplace productivity, and yes, D365. Our competitors own pieces of each of these solutions, so be confident as a partner that you can get out there and compete with these. Next slide. So the compound annual growth rate expected of this marketplace and why this matters to you. So you can see the CAGR over 4 years between 21 and 24%, pretty good return. What does this mean? $10.5 billion market. So this is specifically for SMB, and this is specific to the D365 solutions. Folks, that's a big addressable market. You can see where it's split. Little more so on the CRM side, or I'm sorry, ERP than CRM. So these are numbers that mean big things to you and to your business. This slide alone should be a compelling reason why you should make the transition to cloud. So where is the growth coming from? Next slide. So if we peel back the numbers, you can look at the percentage of on-prem versus cloud and what's to be expected. 2% and 1% on-prem. Folks, that's not a market that I want to chase. 15% and 13% respectively with cloud and SaaS solutions. If you are looking to grow a business, this is where you want to play. So who else is taking advantage of this? Who else believes in this? Well, it's the usual suspects. Oracle, we all know, purchased NetSuite. Sage purchased Intact. Salesforce has always been out there. There's other cloud service providers. You've got local solutions even who have gone to the cloud. SAP, obviously. Even our smaller players like Xero and QuickBooks have taken on the cloud. And of course, at Microsoft, we have as well. Next slide. But you may say, hey, Dave, we like the old way. We like selling simple on-prem. We like the annual renewals. Well, this is what our fearless leader says about that. Satya Nadella says, our industry does not respect tradition. It only respects innovation. So, and thinking back, the slide we just saw that said 86% of CEOs want digital transformation, #1 priority. And remember the slide we just looked at with all the competitors in the field. The bottom line is this: if you don't move, if you don't help your customers move over to cloud, it is guaranteed that someone else will. Next slide. But there is good news. If you're part of the Dynamics channel, if you are a Microsoft partner, you're in a great position because this is where we really put ourselves in a class all by ourselves. We know we have great products in D365, but so do a lot of other vendors. They've got great ERP and CRM products as well. But I don't think anyone comes close to owning the entire company like Microsoft does. We've invested more money in technology than some other companies make in revenue just to make sure our customers have the richest, the best experience possible. So as a partner, and especially as a CSP partner, these solutions are open and available to you to increase your revenue. They have deep integration with Office, with Power BI, with AI, with Azure IoT. Folks, you've been selling out there. You've seen what the competition does. Everybody wants to integrate with these things. No one has them native like Microsoft does. Next slide, please. So why specifically would Dynamics 365 Business Central be important to partners? or any of the products for that matter, whether it's customer experience or F&O. Specific to Business Central on this slide is that, yes, we have decided this is the path going forward. You have a competitive SaaS product to sell. Several execs back at our Directions Conference all said this is the best time to be a Microsoft partner specific to Dynamics. So if you're selling and you're up against competitors who are constantly telling your prospects that, hey, this product was just released in April, why would you move forward with that? That's an easy one, folks. This isn't a brand new product. This is the latest release of a product that's been around for decades, is worldwide, and has over 160,000 customers. If that doesn't give you and your customer confidence, then I don't know what will. And then you can add your IP, your solutions. Once you do that, no one can truly compete with us. And so as a partner, you've got more opportunity for revenue. Next slide. So what does this mean to your business? So as a CSP partner, which you must be in order to sell these cloud products, you look at the left. This is the old way. Customers were used to a large upfront cost of software that was associated with the cost of it and the implementation, and then they would have a lower renewal cost, on and on. The new customer wants something, they want costs and operating expenses that are consistent from very early till the end. And this has become the norm. So with Business Central, we can support this. Now, what does this mean to your business? On the right, from a partner perspective, the traditional model, you in turn had a larger upfront revenue and then a flat revenue with renewals. So yes, you must be prepared as a business to have less money upfront, and you will need to prepare for that. But the SaaS model builds a recurring business, so your cash flow is predictable, your valuation increases, and we're going to hear from some partners later that will tell you some of their stories on this as well. Next slide. So now let's get specific. Let's talk about the CSP, Cloud Solution Provider program. This is a strategic, it's a long-term program for our partners, and it ensures that our cloud customers are going to get the right level of support. So you can integrate your offerings, you can expand your marketplace. This program basically allows you as the partner to be the primary provider end-to-end to your customers. Next slide. So how would one become a CSP partner if you're not already? There's two routes to take. There is the direct bill, and then there is a CSP reseller through an indirect provider. How do you know which route to take? Which one is best for your business? That's what we're going to be going into much further detail today. So this flow chart can be a little bit of an eyeful at first glance. So let's go to the next slide, and it'll break it down to some easy facts. 90% of our partners take the indirect route. Why do they do that? This is a simple visual for you, because it's 4 times faster to get to market. There are significant costs to becoming a direct bill CSP. And yes, if you've heard in the channel, Microsoft would like to direct most of our partners to be in the indirect program. Why? Because you can get into the market quicker, it saves you expenses, and our indirect providers will give you some of the underlying support that you need to take these solutions to your customers. It's a way to make the leap into the cloud faster, less costly. So I know a question that would come up is, what about my margin? Yes, margin is affected, and we'll talk through that. But I think what you'll see is the cost of going direct versus the margin that will be affected of going indirect. I think that will help you make a very good business decision. Next slide. And I think I'm turning it back to you, Scott.
Yeah, well, thanks, David. That certainly is a lot of good information, and there certainly is a big opportunity out there with the Microsoft Cloud, not only Dynamics 365 Business Central, but Office 365, Power BI, Azure. So there's a ton of opportunity for partners to get into the cloud and certainly go through and start making some significant revenue. So what I'd like to do at this point is just dive a little deeper into some of the differences in the investments between the direct CSP route and versus going to the indirect partner CSP route, and what it takes to get started, if you will. So if you're looking at going with the direct CSP, or what's referred to as the direct bill CSP program, of course, your margins, of course, are going to be determined by Microsoft. As David said, they may be a little bit higher, but you still go through and have to qualify for the additional Microsoft incentives that are on top of those on the published license price, and you still have to go through and be able to meet the requirements and complete the process to go through and receive those. So again, your direct relationship with Microsoft is you're going to have to meet all of the CSP requirements that Microsoft is putting in place, such as meeting the cloud competencies, which is being either silver or gold certified in a cloud competency, making the investment in the support plan, and the minimum support plan on an annual basis is the $15,000, but that goes up from there upwards to $50,000 per year annually, based upon the type of support that you're going to go through and want. And most of the partners that I speak with, that's probably the only thing that they really look at, if you will. And there's a lot of other considerations in regards to going the direct CSP route. You'd have to go through and have the systems in place to be able to do all the billing and the invoicing, and to be able to provide the tier 1 level support. And the annual support and financial commitment, as I mentioned, is just for the support is anywhere between $15,000 to $50,000. And then you have to go through and commit to supporting all of the Microsoft products. So if you're selling it, you're going to have to go through and have to be able to support it. And so that's certainly something that's a little different on the indirect side, which we'll talk about as well. And of course, you own all the functions to the customer. So you're going to have to deal with, of course, the sales order processing, the billing, the invoicing, provisioning, certainly implementing, and ongoing support. You're certainly the digital partner of record when you're working directly with Microsoft, but you can also be the digital partner of record on the indirect side, as you'll see. And then you have to go through and have an automated billing system, and to be able to go through and provide 24/7 tier 1 support. So there's some significant commitments that partners are agreeing to and are going to have to invest in when they go with the direct CSP partnership with Microsoft. Next slide, Danielle. Compare that to basically the indirect CSP program and the limited investments that you have to make there. Certainly the margins are determined by the indirect provider that you choose, but we as an indirect provider provide the opportunities for our partners to really go through and significantly increase their margin based upon the volume of sales that they hit, so that you can go through and actually get really close to the same margin that you would have gotten through the direct CSP program, without all the risk of investment and if you will. And you can still go through and the Microsoft incentives that are on top of the margin that we provide as an indirect provider. If you qualify for those, and that's certainly something that we can help you go through and identify what those opportunities are. There's all sorts of different margin incentives from Microsoft for net new opportunities, for converting existing Dynamics clients over. So those are things that we can support you on and help you with. Your relationship, of course, is with us as an indirect provider, and we're really more than just providing the ability to transact CSP licenses. What we're about is providing value-added services and solutions, such as providing D365 Business Central training. We've done D365 Business Central, workshops. We put on monthly meetings to keep everybody abreast of all the changes that are going on. We manage basically the marketplace that you have access to and keep that up to date. You have a dedicated account manager, and you have the ability to tap into, all of the resources that, we have in the Dynamics 365 space, of course, but we also work with Azure, and we work with Office 365 and Power BI. So we're really here to be, a value-added resource to you as a partner organization. And certainly in the indirect world, there's no financial support, commitment up front. You can really get started with little to no upfront, investment, and be provided with the infrastructure such as the marketplace, that we mentioned to help automate the ordering and billing and invoicing. You don't have to go through and be able to support, every product. You may have Business Central to begin with, but want to have opportunities to sell D365 customer engagement, D365, talent or field service. And, that's where we can basically come in, because we can provide support and services on those, through you as a partner, and that you can still capitalize upon selling those licenses, but not to have all of that expertise within your organization. And you certainly don't have to meet all of the Microsoft requirements, that I just mentioned. You don't have to have the cloud competencies of, silver or gold. You don't have to go through and meet the requirements for having an automated billing and provisioning marketplace solution. You don't have to go through and purchase any of the Microsoft, support plans. We meet all of those requirements for you, and are the ones that are supporting you on behalf of Microsoft. And then, of course, we provide an automated marketplace for billing and provisioning and all of the infrastructure that you need to go through and get started. We're providing, upfront, at no cost. You're still the digital partner of record, depending upon the partner program that you decide to start with. So you keep that, and those are, definitely tied to you through your MPN account number. And you are certainly the technical consultant, that's doing all of the, implementations and support and billing the client, directly. However, you have all of our resources that you can tap into and leverage as well, if and when, that would be needed. Next slide, Danielle. So, this just gives a quick comparison at a high level of some of the costs. And so, these costs come directly from Microsoft, and, will be provided in the ROI spreadsheet that we'll be sending out to everybody at the end of today's session. But, the upfront cost to be a direct CSP, as I had mentioned before, are really more than just, having to have that $15,000 annual, support plan at a minimum. If you look at all of the items there on the left-hand side under the direct bill, you have to have a marketplace solution that can handle ordering, billing, invoicing, provisioning. You have to have people to manage that marketplace and to be able to deal with, the issues that come up with, ordering or provisioning issues. And then you'll have to go through and, have somebody that's going to keep all of the Microsoft license SKUs, updated, on a monthly basis in that marketplace, because they do go through and change on a monthly basis. And I think there's 6,000 plus different SKUs at this point, with all the different CSP solution that, Microsoft offers. You have to go through and have somebody who, understands them and knows them and, is familiar with all of those licenses, whether they're D365 Business Central or government licenses or not-for-profit licenses. It can be a daunting task just to stay on top of everything. Additionally, if you want to have what we refer to as, a web interface or an e-commerce site, that you'd be able to use to drive, prospects, so that they'll be able to order directly through you. That's tied into your marketplace so that it can be automatically billed, ordered, and provisioned. Well, that's another component that you'd have to go through and invest in. And that's certainly something that we can provide as part of the infrastructure as an indirect CSP partner that you don't have to invest in. You'll need to have, a support management, tracking solution for, tracking, support requests. You'll need to also develop and train, your staff on these solutions and managing the solutions. All totaled up, just with the initial infrastructure costs that you're going to need to go through and invest in, it's an estimated $235,000 investment. And that doesn't include, the ongoing cost to, support it on an annual basis. And so, in that respect, most likely you're going to have, people to support, the marketplace and the processing, and, you'll have to have a support engineer that, is estimated at about, $60,000 on an annual basis going forward. Versus if you look at the right-hand side, going with an indirect CSP such as Stratus Cloud Alliance, there are no upfront costs, or infrastructure to get started, because we're providing, all of that to you. We're providing you, the provisioning, the support mechanism, the marketplace to be able to bill through and automate that monthly billing process and take care of the, we can provide a e-commerce, web interface site that's, public facing to drive products to. Your clients get access to, a marketplace portal so they can go through and self-service and, add or decrease licenses, when they need it, on their own, not necessarily having to go through and, come through the partner each time. So, if you look at just really the next slide, the numbers really do tell the story. I mean, the time frame that David said about going through, and really, the break even, if you will, the upfront cost, the numbers tell the story. I mean, there's a significant cost in going direct and trying to manage everything, on your own, versus, going with an indirect partner and being able to leverage all the investment that we've made in systems and people and infrastructure and, we're trying to enable partners with from, training and marketing and sales assistance and, solution, assistance from that perspective. So, there certainly is, a night and day story, if you will, in that regards, to the two different programs. Next slide, Danielle. So, right now, as I'd mentioned, investing in a platform center, which is, free to CSP partners. But basically, it's all manual order entry. There's no financial payment processing to be able to do through that. You can't really customize that or do any, modification to it. There's no invoicing. There's no management portal, if you will, to really look and be able to manage all of your licenses. And there's no Microsoft products, out there to go through and be able to order through that as more and more ISVs come into the D365 market. That becomes even more of an issue going forward. And there's certainly no, e-commerce, kind of customizable web store, if you will. So, the alternative is, of course, Microsoft is going to require that you have an automated solution to do automated billing, invoicing, provisioning that's tied to your back-end systems, which, again, just doing that alone and developing the APIs and everything and keeping those up to date is certainly a significant task. So if you go to do your own custom developed marketplace, you'll have to make that initial investment in that platform and, configure all the automated provisioning and do the customization of it and basically be able to set everything up to invoice your customers and manage it. Where as an indirect partner, we're going through and everything that's on this custom developed marketplace side, we're providing that to you. at no cost as part of being, a Stratus Cloud Alliance partner. So from day one, we're going to work with you to go through and get that set up so that you're able to transact quickly, efficiently. We support you in that process. We're a partner that you're going to be able to rely on to, assist you with anything and any issue that, may come up in that process. Next slide, Danielle. So, go back one. We just really want to spend a little bit of time, if you will, kind of talking about, not only, the cost involved in going direct versus indirect, but, how do you go through and make the most of your, CSP, partnership, if you will, and just provide some, tips for, success that partners need to be thinking about going forward. Next slide. So, as David mentioned, going forward, you really need to look at being able to sell, the Microsoft, Power Platform. And so that's not just necessarily Dynamics 365 Business Central. You'll be able to go through and sell the Microsoft 365, which of course now includes, the Office 365 components, as well as, LinkedIn solutions and, other Dynamics 365 solutions beyond just the Business Central ERP solution, which are all, of course, integrated together in one platform and really creates a very strong story for partners to go out and compete and sell against, other solutions in the marketplace. But in addition to that, you need to look at being able to, cross-sell additional ISV solutions. That'll be able to raise your ability to increase your profitability on a, per month, per client basis. So, the ISV solutions, that also helps with creating more what we like to call stickiness, within customers to reduce, what's called churn, so that you don't have clients, moving as much from one cloud partner to another. And then certainly if you have the ability to create industry proven solutions, on your own, whether they're bundled service packages around industry specific, clients that you work with, or whether it's, software related, IP that you can go through and develop, which, just goes through and helps, make, that client even stickier with you. On the right-hand side are just a few of the products that we, as the Stratus Cloud Alliance, are continuing to go through and provide distribution agreements with, that you as a partner of ours through the indirect model will be able to resell and will be available on the marketplace for you to be able to order, to be able to bill through, all in one solution. So you'd have the ability to go through and have D365 Business Central, along with solutions like Progressus, which is a PSA solution for the professional service automation industry, or Adobe Sign for electronic signatures. E1 has a whole lot of solutions out there for integration and things of that nature. Santa Commerce for e-commerce, Zero Spam, and that list continues to grow as more and more ISVs become available on the D365 solutions. We'll have those products in our marketplace for our partners to go through and be able to resell. Next slide, Danielle. In addition to just licensing, managed services, are what we call a must. You're not going to make money to sustain your business licensing alone. And so being able to create bundled solutions that you can offer and resell along with those services, being able to make those monthly, fees that you can go through and charge to the client for, support on an ongoing basis. Those are the things that you're going to have to consider to, increase your margin, because of the difference in margin between selling, on-premise solutions and cloud solutions, if you will. And of course, managed services, that's going to help you provide a stronger position with your clients, help make them stickier, and, being able, again, to deploy your own, cloud solutions, if you can, go after a specific vertical industry, is going to create even more client, satisfaction in that regards and help you be more successful. Next slide, Danielle. So, SLA is a service level agreement, and what we found is in the cloud world, you need to be able to manage the expectations for, order fulfillment and being able to go through and process those quickly and successfully, because the longer it takes to process the order, or if there's issues with it that you can't respond to, or that keep you from being able to go through and get those licenses provisioned when clients need it, the longer and the more issues that happen, the more likely you are to potentially lose that client. And that's where we have a marketplace team that supports you in the marketplace that we set up for you to help out with issues that may arise in the ordering and the provisioning process, to make sure that clients' expectations are being met. Of course, having to be able to 24/7 factor in supporting cloud infrastructure going forward. So those are certainly service level agreement concerns that you have to consider when going direct versus indirect. And David touched upon this already as well, but the days of single product knowledge are over. I mean, we really have to support the whole Microsoft Power Platform that we're looking at here. Not supporting the holistic Microsoft Cloud certainly will hinder your capability of winning opportunities. But again, that's where we really go through, and as an indirect partner can help augment your ability, if you can't support all those solutions, where we are supporting all of those, and can certainly support you as a partner to help you win opportunities where it may require knowledge in D365 Business Central, plus Office 365, plus whatever other solutions, Power BI, that you may need to compete that you don't have within your organization. And certainly not understanding how the Microsoft Cloud products all integrate together can certainly cause you service issues trying to do that on your own. And again, that's certainly where, as an indirect provider, we understand those solutions and can help support you with all of the integration that goes on between those solutions. So next slide. So there is an easier, faster way for partners to really capitalize on the cloud opportunity that we've laid out in front. Which will help partners strengthen their client relationships, increase their client retention rate, and certainly open up new revenue streams in this huge billion-dollar cloud opportunity that's in front of us all. And that's really the Stratus Cloud Alliance. We're custom built specifically for partners, and we're a unique Microsoft Indirect Cloud Solution Provider, because basically we have years and years of partners experience. We have basically been a Microsoft Master VAR for 7 years. We understand how to work with partners. And so, why Stratus Cloud Alliance? I think I've covered most of these, at a very high level already. And, we focus on business solutions. We're easy to do business with. We provide a marketplace, and we also have knowledge bases to help, enable partners to continue to grow. Next slide, Danielle. And, again, I probably covered most of these. We have what's the value for your business? I mean, we're there with you every step of the way with a streamlined, CSP onboarding process. We work with you onboarding you to your marketplace so you can be able to transact quickly. We provide dedicated account management and onboarding teams, as well as a marketplace team to support you. We help with the Microsoft, the management of the discounting and incentive programs. Just going through here, we can provide sales, marketing, and enablement help, including deal support. And, we support all the Dynamics 365 enablement practices, across the board. Next slide. So we do have multiple partner programs. Because of lack of time, I'm not going to go through all these, but we have a referral program if you're not looking to build a practice but still want to capitalize upon the market opportunity that's out there, where we basically take that and run with it, but pay the partner an ongoing 8% margin on a recurring basis for the perpetual license. And then most partners start out at the emerging partner level, and then grow from there based upon the volume of revenue that they're doing, or if they've got a book of CSP business that they're bringing over to us, they could go through and get started at the growth or the volume partner level. And at the volume partner level, you would provide up to 28% margin on certain CSP licenses. So there's certainly an opportunity to grow your margin with our programs. Next slide. So with that, I want to go through and introduce Greg Titus. He is the president of Kanza Business Solutions and is recently a direct partner who has been going through the process of evaluating direct and indirect. And I wanted to go through and spend some time with him just going through what his journey was, if you will, in that regard. So Greg, are you out there?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Great. I certainly, Greg, appreciate your time and willingness to jump on this call with us. So first, if you could just kind of give us a real quick background on Kanza Business Solutions, that would be great.
Well, we're a small Microsoft partner. We started in 1986 selling Mass 90 products, if you believe that. And when NAV came to the United States in 97, we picked up Navision, quickly realized that Navision was the right product, and jettisoned the Mass 90. And today we do only Navision, centered around that market.
Great. I appreciate that. So why, at this point, did you choose to really decide to move forward with, Business Central?
So that's an interesting journey. I think the cloud market is the future. It's not for everybody today, but certainly new clients that come on, more and more of them are inquiring about cloud. Many of them are demanding cloud and saying that's all we want. So it seemed clear that we need to get involved in that. We looked at the Madeira offering, being a NAV-only partner. We found that the offering wasn't quite mature enough for the market we were used to. And so we took a wait-and-see attitude for Business Central. Business Central being full-function NAV with a few variations because of the user interface. Felt like the timing was good to move forward. We could deliver robust business solutions and even the customizations now with the full function release. And we found with the October release in particular, it's really filled in some of the areas that weren't quite up to par with on-premise NAV. So it just felt like the timing was right, and we're seeing good traction with it.
Oh, well, that's certainly good to know. So, I know you went through a process, in looking at direct versus indirect. Can you tell us a little bit about the considerations you were looking at, your process in choosing a partner model? And
well, once I got over the just being angry at the news, right? It's hard enough to sell these as it is. Realized exactly what Microsoft is trying to do, and it made sense. Looking at who do I want to partner with, or do we want to stay direct? Many different considerations about which model to go with, but ultimately what led me down that was two major things. One is I really couldn't quantify the requirements both from a cost and resource standpoint, to meet staying at a direct requirement. We know what some of the requirements are, and you just went through them on some of your slides, but I wasn't 100% sure what it was going to cost me to meet those requirements. So that was an unknown. Microsoft also said there were going to be minimum sales requirements, and they were going to ratchet it up because they wanted the majority of people out of the direct unless they were higher volume. So scared me a little bit what those future requirements would be, and I certainly couldn't quantify whether we could meet them and what it would cost to do that. The second consideration was the impact to margin. I felt until I did the math that I had to stay at direct and make those investments, or this would not be a viable business long term. So.
Okay, I know that was one of your concerns. That you were about the indirect margins would impact your business, and I guess in what you looked at, you found that basically you can still make enough margin under the indirect model and not have all the infrastructure cost. Was that a significant part of why you chose to go with the indirect model?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just did a simple exercise. We had not historically paid the support for partners, the infamous $15,000 a year. I have a very mature staff. We rarely need to rely on Microsoft for those things. So we were not accustomed. So I was staring at a $15,000 cash outlay that I perceived very little value other than now I can continue selling cloud solutions. And so that was about $1,250 a month. If you normalize, I know we don't get to pay it monthly, but it's $1,250 a month that you have to sell in business to get back to your break-even point. So that's about 60 clients when you look at Business Central, assuming a 30% margin, stay indirect. I ignored for this exercise the incentives and things because you get those regardless of the market. Microsoft still gives those whether you're direct or indirect. So 60 seats, and then I took the 60 seats to get back to a break even, and that's a number of clients, and if you ever lose one, you're upside down again because that's 60 clients every single year at a minimum, or 60 seats, I shouldn't say clients. But then if I looked at the Stratus Cloud Alliance model, if we sell 60 clients when we're to that point, I'm positive over $7,000 a year.
Great.
I never have a loss, so I didn't have to make the investment. I'm always positive. My concern for going with the indirect was, what if we hit a home run after 3, 4, 5 years of doing, stacking all these rocks on here? What if we have a very sizable business? I don't think it's sustainable on 15% margin. I was shocked when I did the numbers, and ultimately what led me to Stratus is as I achieve putting more rocks on there, the margins would go up in line with those volumes. So
Great.
That really pushed me over to where that decision was very clear.
Terrific. And then, was it important for you to, because there's 13 different, indirect cloud solution providers out there, was it important for you to have a partner who understands, your business and basically, the Dynamics 365 practice?
That is a great question. And I went through do I want somebody who's fundamentally a competitor? Because, if you know our market, you would be a competitor. Or do I want someone who has no idea what NAV is and they're selling other products out of a catalog? When I looked individually into what could they bring, how are they going to stay out of my business, or do I want them to be in my business? It became clear that having someone who understood our market was a better value and could help us strategically work through this. And if you haven't gone through implementing Business Central, you'll need a little bit of help. It's not intuitively obvious, and just having somebody you can reach out to, as simple as it is, to help you with just some of the provisioning. You may run into a question. It may be a relatively minor thing. Just having that support line is really helpful. The other thing that has come up is we only do division. So someone who's doing division, it's an easy upsell if they want to do Office 365 or some of the other stack. We've stayed away from that and referred to other partners who do that. But under the Stratus model, now you're part of an ecosystem that has those skills, and they have different referral mechanisms, so you can actually get paid on those things rather than we were just doing a client a service to refer them to somebody else, and we got nothing out of it other than hopefully we get a pat on the back in return from some future business where this fit more in our market where we can reach out to them. And we've already had examples of we've only been in this for 4 or 5 weeks of leveraging that partnership support.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. So, are there specific examples, in your business today that, have already confirmed you made the right decision?
Yeah, for one, the onboarding was, really rapid, very high quality, very easy to follow, not time consuming at all. And, you guys are kind of pushing me to, follow up on decisions to help grow. So, that's been appreciated. And then we also, I lost somebody, unfortunately, here this month. So, now I have projects that are committed to, without an immediate resource. So while it has nothing to do with CSP, just an example of the Stratus Cloud Alliance, I reached out to Scott and Jeff, and you guys helped me, go reach with your staffing group to fill in some of those projects. So I have I can keep the client projects moving, which puts me in a better position to help sell Business Central and the vision.
Great. So I'm assuming you do feel that you're getting the value that you were expecting in working with the Stratus Cloud Alliance.
Yeah, and I don't
as your indirect CS.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sound like a commercial, but the amount of information that you have provided on your website and then the calls that you have has really been helpful for me, even though I've only been in this a short period of time with Stratus. You've answered a lot of the questions, and I can't tell you how many times I've said, boy, I wish I knew that 6 months ago. As I was trying to learn my way through those things, and when you sign up, part of your onboarding materials are, here's exactly how you need to go stand all of these things up, and oh, by the way, stuff that's not intuitively obvious. How do you make sure you're the right partner of record and get their domains established correctly? That's not something I would have figured out on my own, and who knows what that would have cost me. Ultimately, it could have cost me a client through satisfaction issues. So absolutely. Being part of it, I don't lose any sleep that I made the right decision. It was good on margins. The support has been fantastic, and I see nothing but upside.
So any advice you'd want to give to any partners looking to, add Business Central or go in the indirect CSP, partner program direction at this point?
Yeah, I think shop around. You may not be in the same situation we're in, but I've found that the Velocio and Stratus alignment really fit our market the best. The number one reason is the low end margins, the first 1 or 2 or 5 that you sell, fairly comparable what everybody's giving, but when you hit it out of the park and you sell a whole lot more, the upper end, you're giving up about 2% versus staying direct. And I guarantee the costs to stay direct are going to chew up way more than your 2%, versus looking at some of the others like, I don't know, an Ingram Micro, where it's just 15% flat, if I'm not mistaken. And so the difference in that is about a 50%. So if you sell 500 seats, the difference in that is about a 50% profit margin difference.
Great. Well,
So
again,
that's really that's what hammered it home for, Stratus for me.
Yeah. Well, Greg, certainly appreciate your time on the call and being open about discussing your process that you went through, and hopefully that was helpful for everybody that was on the call that might be going through the same thing that you have for them to hear. So again, thanks for your time, and Laura, at this point that really wraps it up. I'll open it up to Q&A at this point.
Great. That was really, really helpful. Thanks, Greg, for that input. Yeah, Scott, so I will once again remind everybody, if you've got a question, go ahead and type it into the Q&A box, and I will take a look and see what's come in over the course of the presentation. So, yeah, someone asked about whether or not the recording will be available, and it will, and we will send it out to everyone once it's been processed. Will the slides for the presentation be provided to the attendees as well?
Yes, we can make the slides available as well.
Excellent.
And
okay,
we will send out to everybody that attended the CSP ROI calculator.
Right. Okay, good. Yes, thanks for that reminder. Here's a question. How fast can I really go to market with Dynamics BC with the indirect partner model?
Well, I mean, there's a couple components to that, but I mean, we can have a partner up and running on a marketplace typically within a couple days in order to be able to go through and just transact the Business Central solutions. We have a 90-day kind of onboarding process to work with partners through kind of a workshop of getting their business enabled, from everything from getting their marketplace going to helping them get into training, to helping them get into marketing programs, to develop the practice. So it can be anywhere from a couple days, if there's opportunities that they have, to helping them actually build and enable that practice to be able to doing Business Central. So we had clients or partners basically that had opportunities that we were able to transact with them in a couple days. Some partners didn't have the resources, to be able to do those, solutions, even though they had the business opportunity. So we were able to partner them with some resources to be able to help, deliver that. So there's all sorts of different partners at different levels, but we can do that very rapidly.
Okay. Does the Stratus Cloud only host Microsoft applications?
It is Microsoft applications and ISV solutions that are related to, Microsoft solutions.
Does this provide access to the DLP?
No, it does not, but we do have a MasterVar program that provides access to got that mixed up. That's basically the Dynamics Learning Portal, and that is actually now free to anybody who is a MPN, Microsoft Partner Network partner. But we certainly work with our partners to help them get connected to DLP if they need that, and that's certainly part of the onboarding process to make sure that they are connected.
Okay, here's another question. What will happen to our clients who are already using Office 365 and BC, and how seamless of a transition is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you have clients that are already using Office 365, but maybe they're not, connected to you, they're, with, Microsoft directly or another indirect provider, there is a process to move them underneath of you as an indirect, cloud solution provider through Stratus Cloud Alliance, and we would help you with that. There's a couple steps that need to take place. It's pretty straightforward and painless, and we can help partners move either existing clients or potentially clients that they have on those solutions that aren't under them yet, as Greg was saying, to start taking advantage of getting a margin on those solutions where they've typically just given that away.
Okay, and this is kind of a three-part question. How do we protect our client list? Will we have a portal to set up, or will the provisioning be completely up to Stratus?
No, there's a marketplace portal that gets set up specifically for each partner that we work with them on. We train them on how to use it. We provide them support that is only for them and for their clients. Their clients, basically, they can manage all of their licenses, in that marketplace portal, which is specific to each partner. If you sign up as a Indirect Cloud Solution Provider, through Microsoft and get connected to Stratus Cloud Alliance, you'll also be able to see those clients out in what's called Partner Center. So those clients are, the digital partner of record is, the partners. Stratus Cloud Alliance is listed only as the distribution partner of record. So those clients are theirs, directly.
Okay, and I know we're at the top of the hour. We're out of time. The last question is there a trial period or a contract?
No, there is no commitment, up front. There's really no cost. There's no risk to get started. There's no time commitment to go through, and if you sign up to stay with us, so really the risk is on us to make sure that our partners are happy and getting what they need and want to stay with us. So there's really no risk on the partner's part, to join up. There's no cost, and we look forward to working with anybody.